Hello. In this video, I'm going to summarize our research about analyzing driving behavior using context-sensitive, individualized, smartphone-based trajectory data. This research establishes the theoretical foundation for contextual driving behavior analysis. Traditional traffic safety research is usually performed based on crash history data or survey data. These studies have been extensively examining the relationships between crash occurrence and various factors, including infrastructure, weather, traffic characteristics, driver characteristics, and so on. These exterior variables are recognized as predictive parameters for crash frequency and road safety. Since no human behavior is involved, they belong to a non-naturalistic study approach, with most of them conducted at the macroscopic level. Besides these exterior factors, human factors have been found to be important attributes that affect crash occurrence, and plenty of efforts have been made to explore the impact of the driver characteristics and driving behavior at the driver level, such as demographics, driving experience, and impairments. With technological advancements such as driving simulators, in-vehicle video recorders, and kinematic devices, researchers have broken through the barrier in quantifying real driving behavior by measuring indicators such as speed, acceleration, and eye movement. These naturalistic driving studies become the emerging approaches in traffic safety research, which is superior in its ability to capture true driving behavior. In recent studies that measure driving behavior, most researchers and practitioners rely solely on vehicle trajectory data, such as the time of the trip happening, the speed of driving, and the hardness of braking, all without considering the surrounding environment that may contribute to a variety of crash risks. However, on the other hand, we know that the study of driving behavior is essentially about an individual driver's instantaneous reactions to road geometry, light conditions, weather, traffic density, and so on, and that these contextual variables are known to be highly related with road safety and crash occurrence. In other words, driving behavior should be considered to be context-sensitive. Three challenges exist in traffic safety studies. First, the availability of the contextual data associated with vehicle trajectories. Second, data fusion and aggregation methods to measure individualized driving behavior. And third, the analysis of the relationship between driving behavior and crash occurrence. In our research, we propose a new approach that utilizes individualized vehicle trajectory data from a smartphone GPS module combined with geographical network information and dynamic traffic conditions to measure contextual driving behavior and identify relationships between driving behavior and crash risks. We take a three-step approach. We first define the measurements of the contextual driving behavior from the multi-source data and aggregate the data to the trip level, and then the individual driver level. Next, we construct various measures at the individual driver level representing different types of driving behavior. As the last step, we build models to identify the relationship between contextual driving behavior measures and individual crash frequency. This slide shows the workflow. We first define the measurements of the contextual driving behavior by combining the vehicle trajectory data at the GPS point level and the link level dynamic traffic data. The contextual driving risk at each second is found to be a function of both the driving behavior and contextual information. For each second-by-second driving risk, such as speeding performance, multiple functions are proposed and tested. Then, based on the second-by-second driving risks, trip-level driving risks and individual-level driving risks are aggregated. The table on this slide defines and summarizes the 5 trip-level measurements, including relative speed, speeding, smoothness, hard brakes, and hard starts. The first two, relative speed and speeding, include contextual features, while the other 3 are solely based on GPS speed from the vehicle trajectory data. The second portion of the table shows the 7 contextual variables of each trip, including congestion level, percentage of duration on freeway, arterial, and local streets, and the percentage of duration during peak hour, off-peak, and nighttime. All measures are scaled from 0 to 1, with 1 indicating the best performance and 0 indicating the worst among the sample population. There were a total of 69,283 trips from 255 users, collected between January of 2015 and January of 2016 in the final clean dataset. Once the variables have been identified, we first examine the correlations between different pairs of driving performance variables and contextual measurement variables, because several of them may be interdependent. From this figure, we can see that hard brakes and hard starts share the strongest positive correlation, as seen in the cell in the 4th row and 5th column. This means that a trip with a higher frequency of hard brakes usually also has a higher frequency of hard starts. Relative speed and smoothness also have a strong positive correlation, indicating that if a trip is good in relative speed by mostly following other traffic, it also involves smoother acceleration and deceleration. A strong positive correlation is also observed between relative speed and congestion, as can be seen from the cell in the 1st row and the 6th column. This reveals that the driving performance in car following is better when there is less traffic, which is expected. When there is congestion, the relative speed measurement will be worse off, as some drivers may try to change lanes to avoid following slower traffic, while others may follow the traffic slowly. As a result, the variance in the traffic speed in such cases will result in higher risks on the roadway because of the maneuvers required to get around traffic in order to maintain the higher speed. Similarly, results between relative speed and freeway show that trips on the freeway are more likely to have good car following behavior. Speeding is positively related with arterial roads, but negatively related with local streets, indicating that drivers are more likely to be speeding on arterial roads, where there may be greater traffic congestion, and are less likely to be speeding on local roads, where traffic is light and interrupted by more traffic control. For the smoothness and controlling the vehicle speed, drivers perform well when there is no congestion on the freeway, but relatively worse on local roads. The correlation with the contextual variable is not strong for the hard brakes and hard starts, as these two kinds of behavior are more related with the individual's habitual driving behavior. This observation suggests that the common practice with UBI products using hard brakes without any contextual data is acceptable. After completing the correlation analysis, we aggregate the trip-level variables for each driver using the weighted average, with extracted features describing the average performance and worst-case performance respectively. The additional 7 variables that measure traffic and roadway conditions are also aggregated using the weighted average. This is to indicate the context that each driver frequently experienced. One challenge in the behavior analysis model is reducing the dimensions of the variables and resolving the intercorrelation within the variables. We apply principal component analysis, or PCA, to extract the principal component factors that best explain the driving risks related with speed control and braking maneuvers. As revealed in the figure on the slide, among the 10 driving performance variables, about 80% of the variance is captured by the first component and the second component. The first principal component is mainly contributed to by the information in the 4 variables describing hard brakes and hard starts. These variables reveal the actions on the pedal, including both the brake and gas pedal, when operating the vehicle. The second principal component captures the information in terms of relative speed and speeding. These variables can be identified as vehicle speed-related operation performance. Based on that, we fit the models with 2 components. Based on the PCA results, we reduce the driving performance to 2 principal factors, pedal and speed. Using these 2 factors, we construct a categorical explanatory variable from the clustering method to categorize drivers into 5 groups with similar driving behaviors, as shown in the figure on the slide. In this figure, the x-axis shows the first principal component, which is behavior measurement on pedal. The y-axis shows the second principal component, representing the speed control measurement. Each driver is categorized into one of the 5 identified groups based on the combination of pedal and speed. Users in G1 have good performance in terms of both pedal and speed operation. The group G2 also performs well with pedal operation, but not as well as G1 in terms of speed control, which indicates that drivers may have been speeding or have had a larger deviation from the average traffic speed. The next group, G3, includes drivers with frequent speeding or inconsistent speed behavior, but also with good pedal operation. G4 represents the portion of drivers with good performance in vehicle speed, but not very good in pedal operation. The last group, G5, includes drivers whose performance is not good in both pedal and speed operation, with very frequent hard operations on either the brake or gas pedal, and travel speeds that severely deviate from traffic flow or speed limits. Our next step is to build statistical models to analyze the impact of driving performance measurements defined above on the number of crashes. The purpose of the analysis is to test the hypothesis that drivers with good driving performance are less likely to have vehicle crashes. In contrast, those who do not perform as well are more likely to get involved in crashes. This table shows 3 negative binomial models. All of these models use the number of at-fault crashes in the past 3 years as the response variable, while age and vehicle mileage traveled reported by each driver are used as the explanatory variables. The differences exist in the driving performance measures used in each model. Model 1 uses the detailed driver-level variables, Model 2 uses the principal component variables, and Model 3 uses the category of the drivers defined from the clustering model. The sample size used in each model is 255, accounting for the users who responded to our survey. The results inferred from the previous table are summarized here. In all models, vehicle miles traveled is positively significant, which suggests that people who drive more are more likely to have at-fault events. Additionally, drivers in the age groups of 35 to 39 and 45 to 54 are found to have fewer at-fault crashes. Driving performance measures are also found to demonstrate a significant relationship with the number of crashes. Recall that we calculated both the average and the worst performance values for each driver for each of the 5 performance measures. Among the 10 different performance measures that we calculated, our model results show that drivers with better performance in the smoothness of acceleration and deceleration on average, and drivers whose worst-case performance in relative speed maneuvers was better than other drivers, have significantly fewer crashes than others. These findings suggest that a driver with good habitual driving performance is less likely to have crashes or to be at fault in vehicle crashes, which is consistent with our expectations. Additionally, all of our models consistently suggest that speed-related driving behavior has a stronger influence on the risk of having a vehicle crash. To conclude, our unique contribution lies in the context-sensitive performance measurements in relative speed, speeding, and smoothness, derived from the vehicle speed, traffic conditions, and roadway information. The study results reveal the benefits of integrating multi-source spatial temporal information in the driving risk analysis process. Through numerical analysis, we proved that driving behavior is context-sensitive. The analysis of crash history and driving performances verifies the idea that both pedal operation and driving speed are significantly related to more at-fault crashes, which validates the modeling and analysis efforts in this study. Thank you. Should you have any questions or comments about our research, please do not hesitate to contact us via the information available on the slide.